Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Aging. I'm Gwyneth Johnson with Second Wind Dreams. We are an organization dedicated to changing the perception of aging. And through this interview series, we will talk with individuals, with members of organizations who are dedicated to that very same change in perception. Today, we are lucky enough to have with us Darrell Gurley. He is an author. He is an executive coach, a career guru, and now turned positive aging specialist. Welcome, Darrell.
Thank you. Thanks, Gwyneth. Glad to be here.
We are very happy to have you with us. And we are celebrating our 25th anniversary this year, as you can see by my background. But you are also
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yes, we are very excited to be here 25 years in. You're also celebrating a big event, and that is your book coming out that we'll be talking about today, The Back 40.
Yes. And it's interesting. Y'all been around 25 years. This book's been in development for 20, so I'm only about 5 years behind y'all.
There you go. Well, let me start with a question about kind of your change in trajectory. What brought you around to a focus on positive aging?
Well, it was at that point in life that, some people term midlife crisis. I have a different term for it now. I call it midlife opportunity, or actually one's initiation. And it's all depending on how you're going to take it, right? But at age 40, I was caught up in a midlife, well, that is midlife, but I was caught up in a $500,000 custody suit around maintaining half custody of my son. And it had been a 2-year process, 10 days in court, 2 attorneys each. And, some bad news came one evening. And my parents had just come in town. And it was actually, it was 2 a.m. in the morning, and I was sitting in my meditation chair looking at my son sleeping in my bed because my parents were downstairs sleeping in his bed because of coming into town to lend me, moral support and money around this custody suit. And I was literally sitting there thinking, okay, I'm 40 years old. I'm going through a major career change. I'm deeply in debt. I'm in a $500,000 custody suit. I just felt like there was this big looming, loser sign over my forehead, and just thought, wow, I have nothing to show for myself, And the best I can term it, Gwyneth, was a download occurred, and I heard this voice that said, what if you're exactly where you're supposed to be? What if you've made no mistakes? And what if the first half of life is just R&D? Research and development for who you came here to be and what you came here to do. What if the bigger game is yet to come? And I will be honest with you that in that moment of kind of the lowest point in my life, I was in tears when I heard that, because it lifted my spirits to think, oh, what if no mistakes have been made? What if that were true? And that, particular download just expanded, over many years, but it expanded into programs that we've offered through the Back 40. And this book has been in development, as I said, for about 20 years from that particular experience. And what that has brought with it is my own life is completely different than it was, in that moment. And when we've shared this idea, my wife actually came about through this as well. She was just a reader in a reading group of the initial manuscript, and then we ended up coming together. But the point is, everyone who's heard that idea, what if the first half of life was just R&D? What if, the BS, which is belief system, that society tells us that it's a down and out model, that after 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever, that your best is behind you. Your best creativity, your best ingenuity, your best career options, your best hot sex. What if all of that, is behind? That's what it says, is all of that is behind you. But what if that wasn't true? And what if that is just BS? And what if it's really an up and out model, and that everything you do and everything you're engaged in, and even the supposed horrible failures, are exactly the honing experiences to have you become who you actually came here to be? What if, it's all planned at some level, that you're going to come into life, you're going to pick those parents, you're going to pick these experiences because it is going to have you become, as opposed to what a lot of people do, which is on the flip side of this, is they become victims.
Mhm.
So that's a long answer to the story, but that was the origination of the Back 40. And the Back 40 is really all about positive aging, because we're saying your bigger game is always yet to come. And this over the hill thing is just a bunch of BS.
Couldn't agree with you more. And could you tell us about the Back 40? So it sounds like, for our listeners, this is more than a book. This has been going on quite some time.
Yeah, it's coming out finally now as a book. It's called The Back 40, 7 Essential Embraces to Launch Life's Radical Second Half. I'm showing up a galley proof right now because the book is actually coming out next week on 2/2/22. But the book, as I said, really came in the same way that the initial idea came. It kind of came as a download. But in that moment, when that first thought hit me, I heard 7 essential embraces, and I'm going, well, what are those? And it kind of came: your past, your present, your gifts, your values, your initiation. As I said, some people call that midlife crisis. We say it's the beginning of the party. Your purpose, and a presence, meaning something beyond you that actually becomes the wind underneath your wings as you get on purpose, so to speak, with living your life full out. And so the Back 40, originally, as I told you, my wife was in a reading group. And she actually, out of doing some of the exercises in the initial manuscript, saw why she was stuck for the last 3 horrible years in a 14-year relationship. So she was able to actually uncover that in doing some of the exercises. She went through a divorce. We actually came together. We put on a few 3-day programs a few years ago to test these ideas and see how it landed with people. People were very empowered. And the book just took its time in terms of coming out, but it was kind of like, okay, well, what's this first chapter about? And, it kind of downloaded and, from there. So that's what the Back 40, what it's really about, is about what Second Wind Dreams is about. And that's why I connected with y'all, because I was looking for an organization that was really up to changing the way aging is looked at, like creating a new paradigm around it. And so I loved y'all's mission, and what the Back 40 is really about is playing full out, treating everything in our life as perfect for our greater self to be expressed. So that, this whole idea where there's so much pressure on people to have it all sorted out by midlife and stuff like that, it's like, no. You got a whole game ahead of you if you take some time, maybe, to reevaluate and kind of look at these experiences that were formative, and what are your self-expression directives coming out of those experiences. And, we don't discount that people go through a lot of big challenges in life, but if you take them on that they were meant for you, as they were things for you versus things done to you, it's a whole other world comes out of that.
Absolutely. And I think it's good for people who haven't had the challenges to try things they're bad at too. Because in that moment of discovery and not being the best, if that's who you've always been, I always succeed at this, this, and this, being bad at things is really good for our development.
Well, it's actually that is one of the big proponents or the big messages that I offer. When we start to get towards the back of the book in Embrace Number 6, when we're talking about your purpose, it's like to a certain degree, we are told you're supposed to get wise in life.
Mhm.
And this idea of aging is that, oh, I'm supposed to be wise, I'm supposed to know. But wisdom can become your prison. Knowing what you're good at and what you're not, knowing how women are, knowing how men are, all these decisions that we've made throughout life actually serve to close down one's world as opposed to expanding it. And so we actually have a coaching model that we use with folks around the back 40 called play game coaching. Because what if it's about getting out on new playing fields and just playing? See, when you look at 20-year-olds who are creating all the new technologies and, all this stuff, they're playing. They're just, they haven't been in the world enough to learn, ooh, I might look stupid. Ooh, I may fall on my face. Ooh, I don't want to look dumb. And so as we get older, we take less risks. And because we've decided that we're not good at something, one thing that I'm still growing at is salsa. So I'm this white guy, and getting that rhythm in me, it's going to take a while. But the point is that I'm still willing to play. And that's what we really are about, is creating an environment where all of us at 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever, are cheering each other on for playing, getting out on the playing field and playing, giving up the idea that we have to be experts or good at something.
Or serious all the time.
Yes.
It's just terrible. So it sounds like that individuals can read this book or work with you all and take steps to discover themselves, discover where they're going with this back 40 adventure.
Yeah, and what's interesting is what's going on right now in our culture is this thing called the Great Resignation. It's been about 8 months now.
Yep.
Yeah, I think in November, 4.5 million people quit their jobs. And I think what happened during COVID is that people, number one, got very in touch with their mortality, with the idea that I could get something and it could take me out, and, plus all of the recontorting that we all did to be at home alone,
Mm-hmm.
working alone. And so I think it created an environment where what I see coming about in response to the Great Resignation is the Great Reevaluation. And I think people that are quitting their jobs, some are doing that because they've realized, hey, this is not purposeful for me. Am I enjoying this? I mean, if I'm going to be out of here in a year or two, did I really enjoy what I'm doing? And some people are retiring early just because they can, but they didn't plan on retiring this early. And you know what? Retire, the French roots of the word retire mean to draw back. And I'm not going to poo-poo anyone who thinks that's what life is about, because we all grew up that way. In our society, we grew up, oh, got to plan for retirement. And one day I get to retire. But you know what? As both a career coach and executive coach, I've noticed that when people pull themselves off the playing field and there's not something purposeful moving them forward, I'm not saying you got to stay in the same job or to even do a job, but something that gives you purposeful being, keeps your mind working, keeps your body working. And that's, I think, where the true joy in life comes. So, I think this is actually an opportune time. One of the first trade reviews of the book from Midwest Book Review said, consider it a perfectly timed tool for the great reevaluation brought on by this Great Resignation. So I call it a midlife makeover book, no matter what your age.
Excellent. Well, I love the ideas. I love the philosophy. And and how you got to it was so organic, and I think is reflective of what your message is as well. Can you tell us any resources or events that are coming up that our listeners might be interested in?
Sure. Well, we're going to actually be launching the book
Mhm.
on 2/2/22, which is coming up in 8 days. So, and of course, we're going to be celebrating that with y'all because we're also celebrating 25 years of Second Wind Dreams. And so I would offer to people, number one, stay alert. As a matter of fact, even right now, if people want to pre-order,
Mhm.
the book isn't available till 2/2/22, but they can go pre-order the Kindle version right now on Amazon, and it's at a very, very low initial promotional price. So it's $2.99. And I will tell you, I'm not going to show you the spine because I don't want to intimidate anyone. But this is a hefty midlife makeover book. And so for $2.99 to get a hold of that is great. And you just go to Amazon.com and put in the back 40 and you
Mhm.
scroll down. We only got it up, a few days ago, and just look for the cover. So people can do that. And I would invite them to get to connect with us directly by going to theback40.com. That's THEBACKFORTY.com /free, and they can get a free ebook called The Top 10 Tips for a Radical Second Half. And that's what we're about creating for ourselves and everyone that this message touches is radical. Like, what if our past and what if anything that's come before in no way limits what's ahead of us and the futures that we can create? So we look forward to playing with everyone we can who's like-minded around that.
This is fantastic, and it is perfect timing. I think now more than ever is the time when we should be evaluating who we want to be when we grow up. I know I haven't even started to become that person yet.
And you know what's great is when 81-year-olds say that too.
It is.
Because some of the people that inspire me the most are the ones I actually have a very, very well-known author and thought leader. He's 77
Mhm.
and he talks about how at night he goes to bed and he thinks about, how can I be more loving? How can I be more this and more that? And it's like, it's just contrary to how we grew up where, you know what I mean when I talk about the meme of the crotchety old man or woman, right? It's like, how can I just keep becoming more of who I came here to be? That's a game worth playing, I think.
Absolutely. And that brings us about to the end of our time here. Thank you for all you are doing to change the perception of aging and the perception of living. I think that's really important. We get so stuck on the word aging.
Yeah, I don't know who it was. There's a quote in the book. I don't think it's Helen Keller. I think it's someone else, but it's something to the effect of the sad part is that people aren't living. It's not about that, that we're aging. It's like that they missed out on living. And so that I think that's just a message that really resounds for all of us right now is, how do we live to our fullest? And one way to do that is dropping baggage and really getting clear from all that's perfectly occurred. And, some of your listeners go, oh, he's crazy. It can't all be perfect. But that's why the book is valuable, because if you want to take anything that has seemed imperfect in your life thus far and turn it into exactly what needed to happen to have you be fully self-expressed, let's play together.
Awesome. And that's a perfect thought to end this interview with right there. I want to thank you all for joining us on Let's Talk Aging today. We are, as we said, in our 25th anniversary, so please go and check out our website, www.secondwind.org. We have educational materials for family caregivers, professional caregivers, the community at large, and we have the opportunity over and over again for individuals to volunteer with us to help serve elders and to make their dreams come true. So join us in celebrating our 25th and in celebrating the release of the Back 40. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwyneth. It's a pleasure to play with y'all. Y'all are up to great work, and I'm so pleased and happy and honored to be affiliated with what y'all are doing.
I can't tell you how happy I am that you reached out to us.